we're doing some Betwixt the Books content today, talking about how writing is hard. Writing is really, really hard. And I've been doing I wrote a novel, Now What videos, but you may have noticed that those have been coming more and more infrequently. And you may not also know that Michaela also writes
far less frequently and in depth.
Currently, neither of us are writing.
Well,
so,
yeah.
Yeah. So this is going to be a combination of talking about our struggles with writing, and also we just went through and bought a bunch of books to help us keep writing. So we're going to show you guys those books as well.
For me, a lot of you guys probably don't know that I write at all, and I joked about it last night when I was talking with Gretchen about it, that I write effectively one short story every 2 years. That's not entirely true because I do write smaller things, but things that I'm actually like mulling over and conceptualizing and like putting effort into is at about the rate of one short story every 2 years, which is not great, and it's not what I would like that to be. And I also have novel ideas that wouldn't work as short stories that I can't write for various reasons. The main thing of which is that a lot of the times the way that my creative process works is I have one scene very vividly in my mind. I can describe it perfectly, and I have characters that are well formed, but it has no structure outside of that. So if we did the idea of like the beginning is A and the end is Z, I have R, and it's a really great R. R's so good, but I have no idea what comes before R and what comes after R. And I made a joke about being a pirate and just living in R.
My issue right now is that, I am writing, I have been writing, I have a degree in writing, so I have done the thing once in my life, and I have a whole novel that needs to be edited, and I think that I'm being stunted by the idea that I don't get to create. Like, I've already created the thing, and now I need to edit the thing, and I don't like editing, so because I know that there's a lot of actual work that I need to put into it, as opposed to like just being able to write, because that's what I do. I think this novel is like my 7th completed novel or something like that. But like what I do is I write the thing, I'm like, oh, this is a good thing, I should edit it and do things with it. And then I'm like, boy, I could keep writing. I'm like a writing magpie. I'm like, shiny, 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 shiny. But then I don't complete anything. And so I'm trying to complete the thing, not actually continuing to write. So I have to remind myself that like editing is creating, but also get myself back in the mode of like maybe doing half and half, and doing some creating and then some editing, just so that I can actually do both. I can do both. I can.
See, I'm the opposite in that way as well. I really love editing. I have a really hard time starting and continuing writing, but once I have a thing, I'm like, okay, I have a structure I can work with, and I can like piece this together and add this and take away this, and I like really love going over and over and refining things, which is probably why I like editing other people's work way more than I like.
You want my novel?
Yeah, sure. We'll be co-writers, but all I did was like fix it.
Fix it.
But yeah, no, that's definitely a thing with me, is that like I have a hard time producing, and I really love working creatively. I did art and all of this stuff growing up, and I like making things, but the thing that I really enjoy like when it comes to writing is actually the editing process, which you can't do if you don't have anything to edit.
Once again, we're one half of the same person.
Yeah.
Put us together.
Perfect.
And you get a whole person.
Did it.
So as talking about the things that we're struggling with in writing and producing, we have gotten some writing books. And if you saw I work in a bookstore now, book haul, you've actually seen 2 of the books that I got, which were Stephen King's On Writing and Troubleshooting Your Novel. And I've already kind of talked about those, so I'm not going to go back and talk about those some more. Michaela has the more impressive pile of books, so I'm just going to show off the one that I bought myself this time. It is this book, The Right Brain Workbook, 400 Exercises to Liberate Your Writing. And I have wanted this book since I saw our receiving manager put it on the H-cart in the back room to be shelved, because it's so pretty, and it's just like each page is a writing exercise. It's kind of weird and kind of funny, but it's so pretty and it's so engaging. And I need to get in the habit of like doing one of these a day. And maybe that's the way that I jumpstart my brain and say, okay, now you've like created the thing you're writing, now let's get to the task of editing. Because I do have a lot of work to do on my novel that is a lot more writing, but because it's filed under the editing umbrella, I'm like, no.
So like Gretchen said, I have a larger pile, but I also haven't purchased writing books since high school. I didn't do a writing degree, and part of it was that I couldn't take any writing classes because of issues with the school and things I was trying to do. So I, in a way, another reason why I don't start writing is I don't feel like I can, because I want to be a good writer, and there is that idea that, like, you start out as a good writer, and it's not that. It's just that I feel inept and inadequate because I don't have as many tools as other people have, right?
Can I just say briefly, as like an aside, there were people in the senior year of their writing degree who you still write better than, and they took all the damn classes, and they're just shit. They learned nothing.
Yes, but, like, I feel like, I don't know.
But I'm just saying.
No, I
just
know.
so you're aware, there are people who made it through the degree program
And didn't.
and wasted 4 years of their life.
They also probably don't read.
That too.
Yeah, because that's a big thing. I do have, like, intuition based on reading and, like, knowing how stories are structured, but I didn't have any instructors helping me and critiquing me, which is my, like, creative process. I really need that. I always did art classes growing up, so I would go to a painting class and I would work on this painting, and while it was good, I knew that I was missing something because I was not, you know, I hadn't done it for very long, and that's what a teacher or a peer who can look at it objectively is, like, really important for. So I bought books to help me try and, like, these books are going to be my teacher, if that makes sense. Like, I'm my own teacher, but at the same time, there's these people who know way more than me about writing that I respect. Stephen King, and you. Stephen King on writing, I bought a copy as well because I realized, aside from the fact that we're reading it for book club later this year, I wanted one that I could highlight and annotate, and I didn't want to do that with your copy. Usually I would be perfectly fine borrowing a copy, but when it's a book that's like an instructional book in some way, it's maybe the only book that I'm like super okay with highlighting all over and annotating. I have a hard time doing that with novels just because they're pretty things and I don't want to like mark somebody's art, if that makes sense. Not that this wouldn't be art, but it is also meant to help me, so I need to add in my own interaction with the text. Gretchen's talked about it. It's, you know, pretty famous. I love Stephen King, we know. So, like, here we go. The next one is Gretchen's pick for me. When I was looking through our section on writing reference, one of the first things I did was I messaged Gretchen and I said, was there any books in your, you know, career or your degree that really helped you? And, you know, I want to have that as well, so she grabbed this guy, which is Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott, which you say you've reread several times.
This is like one of the books in the writing department where you just buy your copy freshman year and never get rid of it because people will reuse it or they'll reuse sections of it. Mm-hmm. And that can get kind of annoying because you're like, oh my god, this again. But this for me holds up to readability, not only because there are like whole chapters in there that I still think of when I'm writing, but also because it's fun. Mm-hmm. It's unlike some of the very clinical writing textbooks. This is just, it's fun to read and things stuck with me. Like, if you read nothing from this, just read shitty first drafts. It's like my favorite thing. Because she's just like, first drafts are shit. Get over it. And I was like, yes, this is what I need.
I also kind of needed that pep talk. I'm like halfway through this. I read it last night, literally right after I bought it, because again, Gretchen recommended it, and it is really funny and anecdotal, which makes it easier to read than something that's more of like A plus B equals C type self-help, which I don't think actually helps. So this one is a good one, and maybe I'll talk about it in more detail once I've read it, but it actually is super helpful, if only in like changing your mindset when writing, as opposed to like, again, it's not telling you how to write, it's just telling you things that you probably already know but didn't, but you feel inadequate. I feel inadequate, and she's telling you that that's okay, and this is why. Blah, blah, blah. The next one is maybe mostly just a me interest thing. I got Writing Monsters by Philip Athens. the reason of this being obviously that I really love horror and I would like to write horror because I have very particular ideas of what good horror is. So I wanted to get a tool that discussed different types of monsters and how to create a monster and build suspense in a way that I could then pull out of it the things that I definitely for sure know is good horror. And while I have these, when I see it, I know what it is, but before I see it, I don't know that I can necessarily articulate it. So I wanted to get a tool that might help me put into words the particular qualities of particular horror that I find so engaging and so fascinating. I also just, really like learning about monsters and stuff. So this is partially research, partially just my own personal interest. This guy is maybe the most replacement of a writing degree book that I could see and find and take. And you had said that you had been looking at this, and I know that she has a very well-known blog or website about writing, ? I had heard of her before. I needed a structure, and I feel like I'm going to get the structure I need from this, in the idea that the other books are very helpful in the mindset and how people who I deem to be successful are doing things, or helpful in pulling certain aspects of certain books that I am aware of but can't articulate. This is going to be sort of my go-to when I get stuck. What should I be doing right now? Obviously writing, but should I be focusing on my plot? Should I be focusing on my characters? If I, have done that, what part of editing do I need to work on? Am I working on grammar? Am I working on my dialogue, which I find for myself personally is not strong at all? Things like that. I feel like this guy is a good tool for the structure of how I want to go about bettering myself when it comes to writing, as well as just giving good advice about what to do when you want to be a writer. I think it gave good career advice as well. This guy is a similar guy to the thing that Gretchen had. Less pretty of an object, but I liked that it was less a, here is a prompt, and more a, here is a list of types of stories. Look through them that fall under some umbrella and think about what you want. Again, I have very particular scenes, very vivid characters, but I don't have an overarching plot most of the times, or I feel like there is nothing that I'm saying with it if I don't have some sort of structure. So this is a tool of being this is the different types of story structures that happen, and here's a couple examples of a different type of story in that genre, the coming of age novel, right? And then here's a bunch of different ideas of how a coming of age novel comes about. It has prompts and things like that, but it is also just a reference to be I think I'm writing this type of story. What are the conventions and bits and pieces of that type of story, etc. And then the last thing is much closer to Gretchen's, which is a workbook. This one in particular has a whole lot of flowcharts and open response questions where you build confidence and sort of decide how you are going to look at and discuss your own writing. So it has things based on how are you going to pitch this to not a publisher but agents. How are you gonna describe this novel once you've finished it? But also, what do you want to say? Who are you? What are you confident in? Things like that to boost yourself, but also just everyday writing type ideas as well. It's to help you explore why you want to be a writer. And oftentimes I get muddled in self-doubt and feeling inadequate, and something like this I feel would really help me, where I have to spend a little time each day looking at it and being this is why I want to write this is why I want to be a writer, versus just somebody who sometimes writes, etc. So those are mine. It's long. I'm out of breath.
Alright, well, since Michaela has been doing a lot of talking, I'm going to open and close this video and you can't stop me. These are some of our thoughts on writing and our writing struggles right now, and maybe as we go along and keep trying to support each other, we'll make some more videos about that if you guys are interested. Hopefully at some point you'll see another one of my I wrote a novel, now what videos. If I actually work on that, that would be pretty swell. That would be pretty good. And do not forget that we will be reading On Writing by Stephen King for book club later on this year. So keep track of our Goodreads book club and also our social media as to when that will be. Our next video, however, is going to be Susan Denard's Truth Witch, coming in the last Wednesday of February. So keep track of that. Those are all my announcements. Other than that, we will see you guys next week. Bye!